Calling the meeting to order. We'd like to make a request for the approval of the correction of the minutes. Are the minutes appropriate? Do we have any corrections?
Not that I'm aware of.
None?
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes.
Okay. We second that. Anybody a second?
I'll make a second.
Okay. Now we're going to request for certificates of
We'll need to
appropriate.
take a vote. You'll need to take a
Oh,
vote.
okay.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All
Same
opposed?
sign? Okay. All right. Is the applicant here?
Yes, the applicant is present, but we'll let staff present the request for a certificate.
Okay. Okay.
Good evening, Chair. Good evening, Historic Commission. Kenny Towson, City Planning Department. We do have a request for a certificate of appropriateness tonight. We have the applicant, Ms. Deborah Travelman. She's here. So the property is located on the The property has a frontage of 62 feet along North Virginia Street with a total area of approximately 11,442 square feet or 0.26 acres. As you see on the map here, property is zoned R6 residential, and it is, of course, part of the historic district overlay. A little bit of history about the property. Property was built in 1900 and identified as a significant structure within the district. There's today's current picture of the property. Notice the subject area is going to be right here along the northern or western elevation, with this being the northern side of the property. Again, this front door, this home used to be a duplex. The applicant is requesting to convert it back into a single-family dwelling. And again, I just ask you to focus your attention on the left side of the home, left of the front door. And I'll go into details in just a few minutes. So, as you see, here is the floor plan that Ms. Travelman did a great job of drawing up. We just broadened the lines a little bit for clarity. The applicant is requesting a certificate of appropriateness to rehab the exterior elevations to include the following. She'll relocate the left exterior front wall with windows eastward approximately 7 feet to increase the size of the front porch from 8 feet to 15 feet approximately. And with this, she would like to install a new side entry door along the north elevation adjacent to the front porch. So based off of what you see here tonight, here you saw that there was and is an existing front wall elevation. Here was that second door to the left of the front entry door. So the applicant's proposing to remove that door and extend her porch approximately 8 feet in length this way to the north. Sorry, that's okay. And project back to the existing 8 feet. This door here is the same door that was here. This would be a side entry door. That would be the second entrance to another front entrance to the home here. All these materials here, this window, this double window here, these are part of the existing home. Everything will be existing materials that are already present along with the home. She'll be using the same reuse of materials that, again, are part of the home. Let's see. So to recap, there will be a recess from the exterior wall, approximately 7 feet, relocating double windows, adding front north elevation entry door. All materials are original to the home. There, she is asking for a brick sidewalk to her front entrance. Also, a brick or wood picket front yard fence she would like to add to that in this project. Brick driveway pavers. And of course, exterior porch lights and fans. Wood porch rails and pickets. And removal of one of the 2 front doors, as you could tell from our pictures earlier. So again, big picture again, conversion from the duplex to a single-family dwelling. That being said, do any members of the Historic Commission have any questions of staff or of Ms. Trauberman?
Do we have a picture of what the fence would look like? The front yard fence?
No, not, well, I can show you some examples.
She'll need to be sworn in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She was talking to you,
Oh, I'm sorry.
but we're talking to Kenny.
It's okay.
Sorry, please excuse me here. I might cry. This is way out of my wheelhouse. I have a couple of pictures and I have a couple of ideas. 2.5 years ago, part of the Ag Department building on George was demolished. I was fortunate enough to go in after hours and take a whole bunch of brick. My home is a block away from the old train station, and when the second-story facade came down on the building across the street, I was fortunate enough to go out and get a bunch of brick. So I have a mess ton. I don't know how much it's going to take me to do any of my projects, but one of them I want to do is a front porch, a front yard. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm thinking about a small, like 1.5 foot wall with columns and either wrought iron or something like that, or pickets between the columns. So I don't really have a set, but it will be something historical in appearance and using the older brick.
Okay, can I ask another question? On this front elevation, does the roof line, will it still continue out to the front of the house?
Yeah, I'm not changing the roof line
Okay,
at
so
all.
that little pitch will stay there?
Yes.
That's just
that
recessing
whole
the
front
wall.
room, actually, it's 12 deep and 19 wide. It was actually an exterior at one time because there are window wells on adjacent walls inside as well as shiplap. So I really want to take it back more to the original, just not quite all the way there. And my front porch, actually, I assumed it was 8 feet deep because I never had a reason really to measure the depth of it. It's actually 7 feet deep, and it's 7 feet to the rail. So the additional 6 inches, the 6 inches that I lose is what's underneath the rail and actually goes to the lip. So it's 6.5 feet deep, barely over that 6 foot minimum that's required.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Oh, can I say one more thing? I'm sorry. I don't know if you got my voicemail yesterday. The home, I'm at 104, the home directly to the north of me, at 106. I'm looking at doing a mirror image, essentially. They've got what I'm asking for. Their dimensions are just a little bit different. So they've got a 15-foot setback. I wrote it down. They've got a 15-foot setback, I believe, with a side entry door as well. I'm just looking at going a little bit deeper on the front portion of, but otherwise it would be an identical mirror image on that. The front left door that was the duplex is what will be relocated to the side entry, front side entry. The double window that's to the left of that front door will remain. It'll just be inset another 7 feet approximately, definitely not more. And then there is a window on the side in that room as well, and that's the one that will be moved essentially adjacent to the front side entry door. That's all I got. I didn't cry.
You did good, you did good. Any other questions of Ms. Travelman or staff? Okay, very well.
All right. I think this request meets standards. So,
So just to remind the commission, we will need to entertain a motion and a second that the request meets the guidelines, and then obviously a motion or a vote needs to be taken, and then you'll have to do the same process for issuance of a certificate of appropriateness.
ask to make a motion to issue a certificate of appropriateness.
I'll second
First,
the,
that it meets the guidelines.
You gotta ask somebody to do it.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
okay.
Someone needs to
Someone-
make,
I'll second the
someone needs to
motion.
make the motion.
Oh,
Go ahead and I'll second it.
all right, you go.
Okay, so I will make a motion, make sure I'm doing this right, Jennifer, that it meets the request or the guidelines. And the guidelines for appropriateness. Alicia's drinking.
And I'll second the motion. How's that?
All right.
We're on a learning curve here.
Alicia's teaching us. Perfect.
We're gonna
Now, all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Same sign?
All opposed?
All right.
So now
Well,
we're
that's
ready to repeat that
exciting.
process for an issuance of a certificate of appropriateness.
That's just 2 doors away from me, 3
So now
doors away
someone-
from me.
So now
Okay.
someone needs to say, because I just got it, someone now needs to say, I make a motion to issue the certificate of appropriateness, and then someone needs to second.
Yeah, if you look at your agenda, on the front sheet of the agenda, the very first page I gave you, it tells you the 2 items in which we need motions made and second in order to take.
Where
You
we
see the little
at?
blank lines there, so we've already taken action on the first one. I need I need the number 2 where it says issue a certificate of appropriateness. That's your next. I need a motion.
So I make a motion that we issue a certificate of appropriateness.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Same sign. All right.
You also have to say all opposed.
All opposed?
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Do we have any other business?
We do. I have 2 items for you. On your agenda, you can see where under other business, which is number 4 on your agenda, I have 2 items. The first one is the Borden Mill, or we refer to as Borden Manufacturing Company. If you recall, at several meetings in the past, I had indicated that the potential developer for this property is seeking local historic landmark designation for this property. This board is the one that oversees historic landmark destinations for the city of Goldsboro. This property is not within the historic district per se, but it is on the National Registry for historic places. It received that destination in 2005. Now a developer is coming in and is looking to rehab this property for, let me get his, so I can read that to you. He's referring to property or the project as the Lofts at Borden Mill. It will be an adaptive reuse reconfiguration of this historic vacant textile mill into 125 units of income-restricted multifamily housing. The asset, which is located here, he references as at 810 North William Street. I have included in your packets an application that we have internally that we use for this process, but based on our GIS systems, it's several addresses beginning at 801 to 811, and then it also includes, and you can see the map that I've included that up here, what I refer to as 309 Royal Avenue. So it's this property here in red, and then it's this property. Partnership for Children is this piece here, if you're wondering where it's at. I think most people know where this property is with regards to William Street. So total heated square footage, including the warehouse additions, is roughly about 150 square feet. Once complete, the property will offer 63 one-bedroom units, averaging 690 square feet, 52 two-bedroom units, averaging 1,127 square feet, and then 10 three-bedroom units. For now, that's all that staff needs to know, or that the board needs to know. The way our ordinance is written, this board has to give me permission to submit a report to the State Historic Preservation Office justifying why we're seeking, or why the applicant is seeking the landmark destination. They have 30 days to review, then I'll bring it back to you all with their comments incorporated. We'll kind of have a public hearing. We'll ask that you guys make a recommendation to City Council, and then City Council will hold a public hearing for it. And City Council's action would be to approve an ordinance that designates the local landmark, which would then be recorded with the Register of Deeds, and it stays with the property. It will allow the developer to take advantage of some tax credits out there that are associated with local landmark properties. I do not foresee any issues coming from the state office, considering it already has the National Register. It has a pretty high-ranking destination already, so it makes sense to follow suit with a local landmark. But just following procedure, tonight I would need a motion and a second and a vote for staff to submit the report to the State Historic Preservation Office.
Excuse me.
And that report, if you're wondering what that report looks like, I didn't make a copy, but I'm using the exact report that was sent to them when it seeked the National Registry destination back in 2005. Which is available online. I can send to you to read. I just didn't make but it goes, all it does is just tells you everything about the building, the architecture. It just talks about, that's all the report is. You're basically describing the attributes that will deem it a local or a historic place.
So it is currently or not currently? It's currently historic or no?
It's currently on the National Register. It got that destination in 2005, but from a local landmark, which the only reason we're going for a local landmark is there's another tax credit that the developer can use in rehab. So that local destination will assist them in rehabbing that building. He'll get certain tax credits already because it's on National Register, but he's also seeking those tax credits for a local landmark. But yes, it is nationally registered on a state level, but it is not, there's no destination currently on a local level, which is what they're seeking. And if you recall, I think several of you were on the board when we've done, in my career of being with the city of Goldsboro, we've done it for one other property. Well, it was 6 individual properties, but it was that Patrick Riley, if you remember the 6 buildings that are being redone downtown currently now for those residential units. We went through this exact same process, or the Historic District Commission did, for locally landmarking those, because he too took advantage of those tax credits for the rehab of those properties. So unless there's any other questions with me, I would need a motion and a second and approval to submit the report to the state.
I'll make a motion that we do that.
And I'll second the motion so that you get the report.
I promise y'all I don't have COVID. I just been rushing.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed?
Aye.
None opposed? Okay. There will be no further business to come before.
I have one more.
There's something that's down there.
You're just pretty needy tonight.
If you look in your packets, the very last two documents in your packets are referring to commission members' attendance. Staff should have checked this more often. I'm not that, I'll be the first one to make that mistake or admit to that mistake. But we have reviewed the attendance records for the past 2 years. And per the bylaws, which is the first document, is the bylaws, the thicker attachment. If you go to page 3, under section 6, it references attendance. And if a member is absent from 3 scheduled meetings or has failed to attend at least 70% of all scheduled meetings in a calendar year, then this board can recommend to City Council that the appointment of the member be terminated. There's only one current member we have in a seat that has been inactive. We have not been able to communicate with, has not indicated why they couldn't attend a meeting. So as far as an excused absence, I don't have any record of having, it being an excused absence. So I just wanted to discuss that with this board tonight, because per the bylaws, that member could be terminated by this commission. And I bring it to you tonight because our city council is currently looking into the appointments for next year at our December meeting. One of the December meetings, I don't know which one that is, but at last night's, I think it's Tuesday, it's Wednesday. At Monday night's meeting, they were given the initial review of what vacancies are upcoming, what reappointments are available, and kind of the applications we have received for boards and commissions. So it's the proper time to, if it is our commission to terminate that member that is, that we have, has been inactive for this entire calendar year, so that we can get that before City Council so that I can in turn get a date that someone can be appointed to fill out the remainder of her term. And you have the attendance record in your packets as well for 2020. Obviously, there's still 2 more meetings, one more meeting, but that would not, we can continue to reach out to her, but it's still because she has been inactive for 3 consecutive, that just is grounds for termination. But again, it is completely up to this commission. It's not up to staff. My fault is not making you aware of it until now. But it's up for discussion, and I can answer any questions or that you may have.
Yeah, I have a question, and it's not about this, this is fine.
Okay.
My question though was, I know that some of the positions may be coming up as the term was ready to be given up anyway.
Expired terms?
Yes,
I would have to go back to the office and see if we have anybody coming up for, Debbie can answer that right now.
Mr. Leonard, your term expires,
Okay.
and that's it.
But they could be, so the commission could recommend reappointment of these two members, and we can make sure that gets in the hands of City Council too when they're making their determination, I just don't know what meeting my guess is it'll probably be discussed at the second meeting in December, which allows us to have one more meeting and make a recommendation, because too, if we have vacant seats, what I like to do is this board reviews applications that have been submitted to the city clerk's office to serve on this board, so that this board can give City Council a recommendation. Now, City Council doesn't have to go with that recommendation, but I always like to give them a recommendation from the historic board as far as filling any vacant seats we have. And if you decide to terminate Alana Moore, then you would have a vacancy that I'm seeking
But you have 3, right?
and you would need to review those applications. I don't have those tonight. I just wanted to make sure that.
That was gonna be the other question. When is the application process and what's the deadline?
I don't know that. I think that's the reason that, I think the deadline might be sometime this month. Probably a couple of weeks. I'd have to get back with, I don't oversee that part, but I can email everyone and let them know. But my goal was to bring the applicants that we have, assuming we had a vacancy, to your meeting in December.
So for these two to be reappointed, one of us needs to make a recommendation that they're reappointed.
But don't we also have to reapply or no?
Well, you have to be willing to, you have to tell me if you want to be reappointed. Now, if you just don't want to be reappointed, then I'm gonna have a vacancy.
No, the question I'm asking is, do we have to reapply, like
No,
put in
ma'am.
the application?
The board would just make a because you are eligible for reappointment because you've not served out a full, I think you can have 2 terms or 3 terms, whatever, however the board, however it's written in our ordinances.
Okay,
So
okay,
unless you were to tell me that you do not want to be reappointed, we would ask that you, if you want to be reappointed, you would tell me. And
Okay.
then I would think the board at that point would make a motion that you be reappointed.
okay, that's what I was asking. Okay, so myself and Mr. Leonard, and he also can be reappointed at this point?
Because y'all haven't served a max term. Like there, I think you can, is it 2 years? 2 terms? I can't remember how it reads. But now, if you get reappointed this time and say that's what the policy says, then you'd have to come off the board a year before you had to reapply if you wanted to come back on the
Okay.
board. I just can't remember if it's 3 terms or 2 terms.
Okay,
Is this also include Mr. Leonard too, correct?
Yes, I have not been able to make contact with Mr. Leonard, but I'm going to do my best to see if he, knowing he is having some health concerns, he may not.
and it may be his second term, because he was here when I got here, and I think
Yeah, I
I'm
just
about
got to do
the
some
oldest.
research, but I would have all of
I
that
think I'm
for
about the
you
oldest.
at your next meeting
Yeah, the
to make
oldest.
those recommendations.
I'm not even sure he's at the hospital yet.
So
wow.
He's had a terrible time.
terrible
Oh,
time.
wow.
So, I mean, we'll do our homework on that end and make sure we bring back to you, who's eligible for reappointment, and even if you're wanting to be reappointed, and then we'll bring applications for those that have submitted it. Assuming, tonight I just need to know if you want to move forward with termination of the inactive member.
So
Well,
I
I
have a
believe
question
based
about
on
that.
policy.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I have a question. So they have missed 3 times. Have they contacted your office with any, because then it would be classified as an excused absence.
Unexcused.
I meant, but if they had contacted you, that would be an excused
Yeah, like,
absence.
most of the time, if you're not, the members in this room have sent me an email, I can't be there. Or, I will be 10 minutes late. Something has, but we have had 0 communication with her.
So with most boards, if you don't go by the policies and procedures, definitely, that disqualifies you most of the time from
Right.
participating from a board. So I make a motion that since they have not reached out to your office, your staff in any way to, ask for an excused absence, I make a motion that they are terminated from that we reappoint someone else.
I second it. You're gonna ask for a vote? You need to ask for a vote.
I'd like to make a vote on this.
Ask for a vote.
Ask for a vote.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? So I know what to do. Now I know to bring back some the applications, anything that's, because until this was done, I didn't have a vacant seat, so to speak. So I'll bring back the applications that have been submitted.
Now, last year, you sent them to us and let us view them and read through them, and then
And I
when
can
we
do
came
that.
to the meeting, we were able to already
Okay,
know. 'Cause
I
we-
can do that.
That would be better than to try
I
to
just
read
know the
through 'em.
deadline is sometime this month, so as soon as that deadline is up, I will make sure you're sent any applications that we have. And they also keep applications on file too. So we'll see what we've got and we'll send it to the board and we can have that discussion at the next meeting.
That would be nice.
And then the other, we don't make a recommendation if Alicia, if we're gonna let them go or not until they say they want to renew their
Yeah,
term.
our office normally sends an email and say, Ms. Pierce, your term is due to expire this date. Are you seeking reappointment? And then that reply or whatever, so we have an official, and then we will let you know at the meeting to recommend reappointment of that member, assuming that they agree to do so. And then that's relayed to city council when they are determining their boards to reappoint and appoint seats.
If Mr. Leonard is unable to be here, and he is up for renewal as she is, will he get any type of extension, because he's been very close to losing
Well,
his
right
life
now,
several times?
his absences are
Are
excused.
Okay.
So I'm not worried about that,
Okay,
but I will need something in writing from him. I mean, if any of y'all no reach out, seek, talk, family member, whatever it may be. You know, an email is what we typically, how we communicate with the board. And we'll just need something in writing that he's seeking reappointment, assuming he is eligible. I need to check to see if he has served a max term where he may have to come off a year before he could come back.
But
So I'll check into all of that.
I could make arrangements to get up with someone who can get up with his daughter. I
And
don't know
I'll
what
let you
condition
know.
he's in or anything.
We'll, like I said, we'll do our homework, this week, and we'll find out who's eligible for reappointment and who's not.
And an individual can only serve on one of the commissions and boards, correct?
Yes, they cannot
So
be on
even if
multiple
some of
boards.
us want to apply for other ones, we have to keep that in mind. We
So
either
if
want
there's
to
something
stay
else you
on
would
this.
prefer, and if you want to apply for another city board, I mean, obviously, I would hate to lose you if you're currently serving on this one, but you can apply, but when you apply, you have an option, I think, to put your first choice, your second choice, your third choice. So there is that option, but you can only be appointed to one board.
And I was just saying that to make sure that we all understood. I wasn't saying I'm going anywhere.
Right. I just want to,
That's the teacher in me. I like for everybody to have all the information they need.
That's all I have tonight, unless there's any other concerns from the commission members.
There being no further business for the board, I adjourn this meeting.